#1 bestseller and a native Chicagoan who just released his 13th novel titled Hidden Order. Welcome, Brad Thor.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me back. Sure. Good to be here.
Yeah, we certainly want to get to the book, and we're going to get to that, but you are blowing up on Twitter for a tweet that you said last night you sent out in response to the Attorney General's ruling to hold evidence in the Trayvon Martin case, including Zimmerman's gun.
Correct.
And I'm going to read the tweet. I want your response. It says, quote, "Read this carefully as I don't want to be misunderstood. Screw the DOJ, Department of Justice. If they won't give Zimmerman his gun back, I'll buy him a new one." Do you mean that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, explain why you say screw the DOJ.
This guy's life has been ruined. The first district attorney didn't want to bring the case. They brought, because of pressure in the court of public opinion, they had to put a special prosecutor in there. He has been tried already. The FBI's done a thorough investigation that says this man is not a racist, yet the DOJ is launching
determine whether he's a racist or not?
Because they went and interviewed 30 people that were close to him. They tried to find evidence that he was a racist, that he'd ever used...
close to him. Of course they're not going to reveal whether somebody's
Val,
racist.
not necessarily close, meaning in his proximity. People he worked with, places that he worked out, things like this. So not family members who you might expect to cover for him. So at what point, I mean, let's take Zimmerman out of it. At what point do we let an American citizen get done with the justice process? I mean, this is a big deal. This could happen to anybody. If the government can keep hounding you, this guy's life is ruined at this point. I know we have a dead child here, but he was found not guilty by a jury of his peers. Trayvon Martin wasn't on trial. George Zimmerman was, and he's not guilty.
Right.
At what point does it end?
And you called this a witch hunt in some ways because of public opinion judged him before he was judged in court.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But he was exonerated.
He's not guilty. So at what point does he get to recommence his life? Now he's got the Department of Justice.
After all the judicial process is over, because there are several groups talking about civil rights or civil lawsuits against him.
Well, civil lawsuits are a different thing.
Yeah, but it's still not over, right?
Okay, so why is the Department of Justice going after him when there's not one shred that this happened because Trayvon Martin was black? There's not one piece of evidence. Yet the witch hunt continues.
Well, then why is everybody saying this is a racially charged case? Everybody's...
Because the race hustlers are the ones that profit from telling people the deck is stacked against you, it's always going to be stacked against you, and they try to divide America.
Do you believe they're white race hustlers?
I believe, yeah.
So race hustler can be anybody?
Yes. Yep. And I also believe that you may be a racist if you believe only white people can be racist. Anybody can be a racist.
You can be a racist if you have the power to hold down someone else. That's a racist. You may be prejudiced. There's a difference between being prejudiced and being racist. You have to have the ability to hold power and have control over someone in order to be titled racist versus prejudice.
I think anybody can be racist without power, too.
You think it's a really good idea to give George Zimmerman a gun back? I mean,
he's not guilty, Ro.
No, I understand.
He's not guilty. And as a matter of fact, don't you think he needs a gun now more than ever with all the death threats against him?
It would seem like what he's been through, he would not even want a gun to even risk going through the same thing again.
But that's his decision, Val. It's not for us to decide if we're going to curtail his liberty or not. That is his Second Amendment right to possess a firearm, defend himself, defend his family, and it is not up to you, it's not up to me to decide what's right for George Zimmerman.
Yeah.
He's an American citizen. He gets to decide what's right for him.
Yeah.
After everything is over.
Well, when's it over, Val? When's it over? I mean, how much more does he have to go through? There's not a shred of evidence that he is a racist, and yet the Department of Justice is freezing everything.
And Brad, you're at the center of a lot of these conversations, which is a lot about what your books are about.
Great segue, Ryan.
Trying to get to the books now. Trying to get to the book.
This is better.
You wrote another thriller, and you're part of Homeland Security's Red Cell program. Tell us about that and how that factors into what you write about.
After 9/11, the Department of Homeland Security invited creative thinkers in from outside D.C. to help them figure out, help them plot what the next terrorist attack might look like. So what they said is, will you come in and apply your creativity to national security the way you do your books? And so I call it the Las Vegas of government programs, because what happens in the Red Cell stays in the Red Cell. I can't use it for my books.
Oh. And it seems like you have a lot of women in prominent roles in your books. Why is that?
I am surrounded by fantastic women. My agent, my editor, my wife, my daughter, and I don't believe women should be used as sex objects and window dressing in novels. The women in my books are always very strong characters who are integral to figuring out the plot. My main character, who's a Navy SEAL, Scott Harvath, can't do what he does in each novel without the help of a very talented and smart female character.
Yeah, New York Times #1 bestseller. Are we going to see this turn into a film?
Warner Brothers has already adapted one of my books called Takedown. They have a screenplay, so we're looking forward to that going into production.
Wow. And you call your books faction.
I do.
What does that mean?
Faction. Last summer's book, for instance, Blacklist, was all about the NSA and the explosion of surveillance technology. I shouldn't say, I don't write textbooks, I write beach reads, Ludlum, Clancy. And when I toured for that book, I said the next big thing we'll talk about in the public square is the NSA and the total surveillance state. This book here, I believe, is the next thing we'll be talking about in the public square. So the faction is, I'm taking real life things that I kind of see coming over the horizon, applying that creativity like I do for DHS, and putting those into novel form. So you have a great beach read, but when you close it, you're smarter for having read the book.
And this is about the Federal Reserve, right?
Right. Federal Reserve, which is about as federal as Federal Express. There's a lot of wacky conspiracy theories about the Fed, but the true history of the Fed is fascinating. It's like it's been ripped out of a spy novel, and I said, I want to weave the Fed into my next thriller, and that's what I did with Hidden Order.
Yeah, and Dan Brown, the author of the Da Vinci Code, says that your books are like reading tomorrow's headlines. How are you so on the cutting edge of what could happen or terrorist threats?
I really believe a writer is someone who's trained their mind to misbehave, that you look at something and you see it different than everybody else. So that's, it's just a kind of a gut thing. You go, I've had this idea for 10 years, and I said, it wasn't ready, but now it's ready because the Fed is the next big scandal we'll be talking about. Mark my words.
Yeah, Hidden Order. Check out the book. It's right here. Brad will be at Anderson's in Naperville tonight meeting fans, and someone is going to win a TV coming up, by the way. But Brad, thank you so much for being here. Come back and see us. All right.